Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Now, the case of Ahmaud Arbery was decided a couple of years ago, and the three men who were deemed responsible for the unaliving of Ahmaud Arbery were given their respective sentences, where the father and son, the McMichaels, were sentenced to life imprisonment with other sentences added to it. And then the third person was also given a 30-year sentence with additional federal sentences. So it seemed like this was the end of that chapter and the family could move on and get some closure. But as of just some few days ago, these three men who were given these convictions have asked a U.S. appeals court to overturn their federal convictions. Bear in mind, there were other convictions that were meted out to them, and one of them is federal. So this doesn't mean that if their appeal is granted by the appeals court, they are going to walk free. I don't think so. I think that they will still serve their life sentences and then the other sentence bestowed on the third person. But the attorneys for these three white men who chased and unalived Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia have asked the federal appeals court as of just this Wednesday to throw out their hate crime convictions. And they based this appeal on the argument that the prosecutors who sought the convictions relied on the history of these three men with some evidence of racist comments without proving that these three men actually targeted Ahmaud Arbery because he was black. I don't know if you get the distinction. They are not disputing they committed the actual crime. They are just saying that it wasn't racially motivated. And they are saying that at the end of the day, the issue isn't about the racism of these three men, but rather it is about what the issue is. It is about whether or not the government can meet its burden of proof in such a case. Now, their arguments are also going beyond the core issue of whether a racist intent to harm motivated the actions of these three men on the said day of February 23rd, 2020, where within 7 minutes, issues would just get out of hand and result in the untimely unaliving of Ahmaud Arbery. Now, defense attorneys for these three men have raised legal technicalities, including their contention that prosecutors also failed to prove Arbery was actually unalived on a public road. But then, you would expect the prosecution will also counter, and they did. Now, their counter is that the trial jury in 2022 had sufficient evidence to find these three men guilty of the hate crimes as well as attempted kidnapping of Ahmaud Arbery. I think, by extension, false imprisonment was even part of the charges that were leveled against them. And it seems like this is going to go quite a bit. I don't know how long it will take for either the appeal to be quashed or maybe thrown out or maybe granted. I don't know. But out of respect for both families, I won't even say both, all three families, because there's the family of Ahmaud Arbery, the family of the McMichaels, and then the family of the third man by name Bryan. And out of respect for these three families, I think that this is going to be a difficult time for them, especially for that of Ahmaud Arbery, because he is no longer alive. And it's going to be like the whole case is going to be dredged up again. They are going to have to relieve some of the trauma they are trying to probably put behind them and move on. And it's going to be a difficult thing. My heart goes out to them. And also for the family of the McMichaels, because it's a father and son, but then they have other members of their family still out there who care for them. To have all these things come up again, I think it still takes a toll. And same applies to the third man, Bryan. But I believe that this shouldn't have actually gotten to the point it did, where unfortunately Ahmaud Arbery lost his life, because Come on, there should be a limit to some things. There should be a limit to some things. So, as of that sentencing in 2022, the trial judge sentenced both McMichaels to life in prison for their hate crime convictions, plus additional time of 10 years for Travis McMichael and 7 years for his father for openly carrying firearms while committing violent crimes. Now, the third guy, Bryan, received a lighter hate crime sentence of 35 years in prison, in part because he wasn't armed and preserved the cell phone video that became crucial evidence. Exactly. So all three of them also got 20 years for attempted kidnapping to overlap with their hate crime sentences. Now, I was saying this earlier. If it turns out that the US Appeals Court overturns any of their federal convictions, please don't think they are going to walk free. They wouldn't. What will happen is that both the McMichaels, the father and son, and Bryan would still remain in prison because all three are serving life sentences in Georgia state prisons for murder, and they have motions for new state trials pending before a judge. Just that I foresee it's going to be more about one side feeling undone based on the decision that the court will pass. Either way, somebody or one family might feel that their person of interest should have been given, in quotes, a fairer deal or hearing out of whatever the verdict will be. I don't know, but I'm following. That's and when there are updates, I'm going to bring them to you. Stay safe out there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching this video. Watch our other videos. Let's have a conversation in the comment section. I'll catch you on the next one.